Get notifications and stay updated every time I post a challenge podcast by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all and hope you enjoy. Welcome back, everybody. And if you saw my Twitter the other day, you'll notice that I announced who my guest is at this time, Miss Jenny Delich. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for being here. I'm glad that I was able to get you on here because I noticed that you liked a few of the tweets on my thing announcing that you were going to be coming on, because it's crazy because we had this plan kind of set for like almost a month now. And then I think it was last week, CBS All Access, that's kind of like a big thing now, just put Real World on the CBS for people to watch. So the timing was just really I can't make it up. Like when I was looking at my schedule and then I saw obviously you were coming up and I checked everyone saying that Real World's on CBS, I was like, oh, this is perfect. So I was like, I got to announce her. And then, so people were excited, and I'm glad you were able to join me.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be here. That's interesting news. I did not know about that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy. Challenge and Real World kind of are somewhat not viewable, I guess you could say, on the everyday. You can see clips and stuff. So then when CBS went and did that, that was kind of a big thing that everyone was excited about. So then I thought the timing was just perfect. So we'll definitely get into some of those points. But I kind of want to start by asking you kind of what I lean towards with my guests all the time, because this year has been crazy. I've talked about my year a couple times on here. I want to ask you now, how has this year kind of been like for you with the transition and everything?
Well, it's interesting that you ask, because, real estate, this has been my busiest year of my life. The busiest year in real estate for me. We have historic low interest rates, lower than they've ever been in history, right? So everybody's flocking to the droves. Plus, you see people that have been in quarantine who are realizing, you know what, this space doesn't work for me anymore. I need a bigger house. I need a smaller house. It's a BIT cleaning this house every day, this is too big, So I see people coming to me from all different directions that they need to change. And I think that this quarantine has definitely implemented or brought that to light for them. And the low interest rates, and then also people have time to shop because people aren't doing anything else. So they're like, let's get on Zillow. And I'm like, no. Get off Zillow. It's get with a realtor. Let's do this the right way, because Zillow is so inaccurate. But we have some people that have just, I've been in real estate now. I was licensed since 2012, but I really started going after this for this is my 5th year. And it's just been, the business has just been bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now it's the biggest it's been. And Brian's on board now. If you guys remember Brian, we're working together. My mom's working with us too. So it's just kind of crazy. Yeah.
So how has this year kind of shifted? Has it made things harder, or has it changed anything for you with real estate, or is it pretty straightforward as how it's always been for you?
It's been a bit busier. This year, it was interesting. We were looking at the data for the first 2 weeks of, was it March or April? I can't remember. When the lockdown happened, there was no showings, right? And then it actually, when we came back, 2 weeks after that, when people started, I guess, being comfortable to show again, there was more showings than there was last year in 2019. So people were like, whoa, let's get on this now. And so it's made my life just extremely busy. As far as the lockdown, I live in Missouri, so we don't have such a strenuous lockdowns as I see on the coast and stuff like that. So, the gyms have been open here for quite a while. We were talking about that. Just it's not a whole lot different, except that, you wear masks, you go to stores, Violet, she's 5 now. She just started kindergarten. So I'm like, oh my God, she's just my angel. She's changed my whole life. But she's been going to school this year. So there's been a lot of changes in 2020.
Wow. Yeah, you were talking about things kind of being open for a while over there. I'm kind of jealous because obviously you being from Missouri, that you're a Chief fan, you guys have fans in your stadiums. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, dude.
Did you catch the game last night?
So we're suffering from an internet outage, so I got to watch some of it on my phone. But Violet was, we had Violet here, so we were kind of doing some things. So we usually one of our moms will watch her on Sundays when we get to like kind of like watch the game. But being it was Monday Night Football, I watched some of it, but not all of it. But I heard Kelsey got some good runs in there. So
yeah, and they won. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I love the Chiefs. Always love the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it behind me or not. I have like a Seahawk flag.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we're doing well right now. Who knows? Maybe that we might end up playing you guys in the Super Bowl.
That would be amazing.
That would.
See, Chiefs haven't always been very good. You know, like if you were born and raised in Kansas City like us, it's like the Chiefs were like, you know, we were always we stuck it in there. We have the record for the loudest stadium like in the world, or at least in the United States. Because we're just that crazy of sports people here in Kansas City. I mean, we love the Royals, we love the Chiefs, and we've always stuck in there for them. And look, back to back, boom, boom. This is our year. Like, go KC. Like, this is amazing. Like, I cried when I watched when we watched the Royals lose their first time in the World Series, or like not the first time, but you know, like 2 years we were in it back to back. The first year, I remember we're all in Westport, and we're all like, the last one, and then we lost, and I cried, and I was like, next year it's happening, next year for sure. And then next year it happened. I was like, I told you guys. And it was like, the whole city went crazy. I mean, it was a flood of blue and a flood of red. I mean, it's just so cool in our city right now. So cool.
I could imagine. I mean, you guys, this is like I think it was like first time in 50 years that you guys made it to the Super Bowl, and then you guys win. And I was happy because the 49ers are kind of a rival of mine, so I had a little bit of vested interest there.
Hey, so you were on our side. That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I've always kind of like had like not a soft spot, but I've liked the Chiefs because like they're kind of easy to root for. You know what I mean? Like right now, the way it's kind of looking like you guys maybe have some potential to be like what the Patriots have been for like the last like decade or so. But I feel like
Mahomes too. Yeah.
You guys, I feel like, are much more likable than the Patriots, so I think that it's easy for you guys to root for you guys.
Well, it's probably that hometown feel, you know. It's like that we're the heart of America, so we're like people in the Midwest are kind of known for being just like kind of downhearted and like nice and stuff, and like we wave, you know. I mean, I've been in New York. People wave too. It's not like they don't wave in other parts of the world. I don't know why people will say that so much, but I think like, yeah, maybe the Patriots got like, you know, too big of heads and like kind of got full of themselves. I think that's going to happen with probably any team that wins consistently over the years. They just kind of get big egos.
Better hope that doesn't happen to you guys.
I hope not. I hope not. I would be ashamed.
But yeah, now I kind of want to jump back onto real estate. Was this always kind of something that you had plans on doing, or was this like spur in the moment?
Well, it's interesting you asked that because my mom, now that she's in real estate, she's had her license for a long time. I always thought, you know, with my mom, she's really good at interior design. And then my mom, she had dated a guy named Ray back when I was in high school. And he really, like, every summer, or like it was a couple years, but he had a lot of rental properties. And I always thought that was really amazing because he had all this, like, free time. You hire a property manager. I know that now, but he had a lot of time that he could use to do whatever, and I really liked that. So I wanted to get into real estate for rental properties, to flip properties. But being that I have somewhat of a sales background, I thought that it would be best to start in the sales realm and marketing, especially. It's like one of my strong suits is marketing, especially in the online digital world. In fact, the last couple of years I was announced the number one realtor on social media in Kansas City, and I'm really pretty excited about that because I put a lot out there online, Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But if it gets us connected, most people start their home search online anyway. But eventually, the idea is to transition into flipping homes, having rental properties. But I'll always have my real estate license, and I've become really good at it, so it's kind of been sticking for me. I've been really busy with that alone, so I'm trying to just chase one chicken at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's too many, I won't catch any. So I'm just focusing on that right now, and I think I'm at this level this year where, you know, I'm kind of branching out the business with Brian and my mom, and there will be some more opportunity for kind of branching out on that next level of the business.
Mm.
So.
Yeah, I've got like people in my family, like my dad used to be kind of involved in that. My cousins are involved in that, so I have like kind of like an inkling of a clue as to like what goes on, and I guess you could say in like the world of realty. What kind of goes into it for you as like a realtor? Like how is that? How's the preparation and stuff like that?
Well, no day is ever the same. So the preparation depends on the day. Like for example, this morning I I sent out a buyer agency agreement with a new, actually it's a repeat client that I have. And then I sent him an estimated worksheet that was just like breaking down all the fees into what he'll estimatedly net at the end of the sale. And then set up a portal for someone. Basically, I go into the MLS and I scrub for properties and I set up a search for them, and I'll denote, like, what's up with the denote word today? I'll write on the map like where I want to send them listings at, and we use technology first and foremost. Like back then the MLS didn't exist. We had a book that would go around to each office. That was like the old school way of doing things. Now we all kind of get the listings at the same time, the realtors and the buyers. It's kind of wild because now there's like, I just sold a listing last week for $36,000 over asking price. And that's not even that rare these days. Like 20, 25,000, it's not uncommon. There would be like 5 to 10 offers on a property within the first few days. People are flocking to Kansas City because of all the, it's a cheap place to live still. It's getting more and more expensive. But, they say it's like low crime. It's like, I'm not really allowed to say it's low crime, but you can look up the statistics. It's a great city to grow a family. It's one of the best. So, in the areas around it and so forth. So basically kind of getting that knowledge and giving that to your buyers, like on a consultation could be something, a part of my day, going out and showings. I mean, I'll go show 4 or 5 properties, go to a closing, go to an inspection, go to appraisal. I mean, it's so different every day. It's like, that's what I like though. I don't like the monotony. I don't like to be in a cubicle. I was at Citibank for 4 years right out of high school. And I was like, dude, I got to get out of here.
So was that kind you just said about being in a Citibank coming out of high school? Is that what you were kind of up to before going on to the real world?
Yeah, I was a sales manager at Citibank up here by the airport. And I would actually start off in outbound collection. I'd call people that were behind on their bills. It was an awful job. It was terrible. But on year one, I applied because you can't be promoted to manager until you've been there a year. So on year one, I applied for the promotion. I got it. And so I was like the youngest sales manager in the whole site. And I worked in sales after that because I was like, once the recession hit in 08 and 09 and they started doing all kinds of crazy stuff, I left because of ethical reasons. I mean, they were literally sending out letters to people saying, if you don't call and cancel your credit card, we're going to raise your rate to 29.99%.
Wow.
Forever. And I'm like, holy shit. You know how many people are going to be pissed? And people were calling in going, I never got this letter. And then it drove my talk time up and bounced me out of the ranks for commission and all this other stuff. And I was like, you guys are terrible. I mean, this is a terrible organization. Sorry, but I was like, this is unethical to the max. I mean, this was 08, 09, you guys, the banks. I was there. I was like, screw this. I was like, I'm going to go into, real estate and other things. And I know my story's a little bit confusing because I sound like I'm all over the place, and I am. I was doing a lot of different things because I was into, to be truthful, I was really into like modeling back in the day, more like artistic style of modeling, not like the some of the stuff that I was doing. And so I kind of switched gears, so to speak. I wasn't like tall and real thin to be like the certain type of model that I kind of wanted to do, like not necessarily runway, but more of like artistic glamour type of interesting, cool type of stuff, like more of the artsy side of things. And anyway, I was just kind of on Facebook one day, and there was like this thing that popped up and was like real world auditions. I was like, what's this? And I clicked it, and I was like, I was kind of in that mode back then where I was like just trying to make it out to LA. I was trying to do my thing, and I was young, and had no idea what LA was really about, had no idea what Hollywood was really about, didn't have any idea what reality TV was about either. Honestly, I was just young and dumb. I was like, I just want to get out here and just be on TV, right? And boy, did I learn my lesson. Like I applied, and then I could, honestly, Mike, I could have missed it. They sent me back a message. It was like, answer these 5 questions. Okay, who are you? And I'm like, it was a bummer,
Yeah.
company. And I was like, okay, what's this? And then so it's like, I read it and I was like, oh, is this for real world? Wow. I was kind of late on it, and I responded, and I sent it back in. It took months and months and months. I had already moved out to LA. I was already trying to pursue modeling. Okay. And I was acting and all this other stuff. And then they were like, yeah, we're gonna send a camera crew to your house, and we're gonna this is all part of the audition. You don't have the spot yet. We're just gonna send the camera crew. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like trying to maintain my job over here at the casino. I was doing like a waitress, like with cocktails and stuff like that. I was like real struggling actress out here in LA. I mean, it's hilarious. I could go into so many details about my life in LA, but it's just kind of crazy. All the weird stuff. But anyway, I was like, well, let's just see what this is about. They came in with a camera crew, and then they just surprised me. And they were like, yeah. They called me on the phone. Camera's right here. I'm in the car. And they're like, yeah, you got the job. Or you're on the show. You got to leave in 24 hours. I was like, are you serious? I was like, I got a cat. I have this lease. And I'm like, shit. So I'm like, I got to get my life together. I was so lucky that my friend who I was working with happened to take up my lease for me. I sublet my place to her, and I was like so grateful that she stepped in, because otherwise that would have dinged me on my credit, you know what I mean? So anyway, and then my cat Chief was actually going to be like the first like cat on the Real World. She was actually going to come out with me.
Wow.
Chief, my cat. But they were like, I think somebody had allergies. I think it was Tom. I can't remember who it was, but there was allergies. So then I had to send the cat. Chief couldn't be on the show. I was like, man, Chief is such a personality too. She would have been like hissing at the corner, like at people. She's like, wow, she's a stray. She's not. She's scared of people. But she also was like, had this really like interesting, like she'd like be on the floor, like look at me, I'm being cute. Like she's just a cute little kitty cat. She actually passed away a few months ago. I'm really sad.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay, she's very old. She is very old. She was like probably like 23 years old. So.
Wow, that's like 23. Wow, that's a long time.
Old kitty cat.
Wow. So yeah, that's what we saw on TV, right? Like we were just talking about, you in your car, and then you like on the phone with them. That's like the clip they used, right? Yeah,
they did. And then I had to rush it to get everything together. Went out there, and I mean, it's a whirlwind, man. I mean, I had to tell my boss that I was up and leaving with like literally a 24-hour notice. He was pissed. He was pissed. Long story short, I did not get my job back when I came back from the show. I was like, even though I was like, I had some of the highest sales in that bitch. I mean, I sold probably more cocktails than a lot of the other girls did. I mean, I worked the room, okay? Like I said. But anyway, it's a corporate thing. And actually he wasn't really that mad, because I told him, I gave him, like, I was like, hey, I'm in this casting process. I might have to leave at any time. I don't really know what to expect. And then actually the assistant manager goes, if I were you, I'd walk out here with my middle fingers up. Damn. Okay.
So you'd say that this was kind of just like you saw it and then just decided to go out for it. It wasn't like something that you had a goal of getting onto TV, would you say? It wasn't that?
Well, I didn't see myself on reality TV. I didn't know that was going to happen. Let's say that. I was trying to pursue something involved with, I just thought it would be fun to be like some of those characters that you would see on MTV, or like some of the other, like E, or like some of those, they just seemed like they were always having fun, didn't have any pressure in life, they just lived it up all the time. You know what I'm talking about? What you see on TV, right? It's yep. As a 31-year-old woman, I look at it now way differently, and actually been there, done that, made the t-shirt, sold the t-shirt type of thing. Like I've been there, done that. But, I mean, literally made the t-shirt, sold the t-shirt. It really humbled me and brought me so much understanding, because I was just a part of this society that we see now on Instagram, that we see now on, they want to be Insta famous. and they want to be YouTube stars and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, there is nothing wrong with being an Instagram star or a YouTube star, because there's a lot of people out there that are spreading great messages. They're helping people. They're lifting people up. You know, there's other great interviewers like yourself, you know, that are out there talking to people about real stuff. You know, people need to hear these things, right? But I learned about this whole part of society that I know some people are going, duh, but for me, it really had to knock me on the head hard with like a big rock, you know? For me, I had to like get cracked open, like, well, really see it for what it was, of just like, there's a lot of people out here, and I used to be one of them, that just really just wanted to live an easy life and be famous, you know what I mean? And I'm not ashamed to say that. Like, that's okay. You know, there's a lot of people that feel that same way. But when it did, I guess it just gets, and honestly, nowadays, I feel like I just kind of want to just kind of like do my work. I want to get ahead in my career. And actually, that was what I was aspiring to do before the real world, before I even moved out to California. Okay, I was like, I got my real estate license in 2012. So I had this kind of plan for a long time, but I knew, and actually I was sitting there in the bold class at Keller Williams, and there was a quote, and I'll quote it. It was, "The pain that you get from discipline weighs ounces, yet the pain that you get from regret weighs tons." And I was sitting there going, oh my God. I had this opportunity to move out to California. This lady, she was like, come live with me for free in this $5 million mansion out in Orange County, down the street from Steve Carell. Like, come live with me, come live this life. And I'm like, let's do it, bitch. You know, like, yeah, like I'm 20 something, my young 20. I'm like, let's do this. I go out there, find out there was like all these things hidden underneath the carpet, like not literally, but like, you know, like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. Oh, I didn't know that was going on. Oh, I didn't know that was going on. And here comes the police and all sorts of stuff. I'm like, dude, this is insane. I got to get out of here. Like, what did I get myself into? I mean, I lived this story to tell my grandkids for sure. Like, stories that will just never test the time of day. But I don't remember where I was going with that, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it was good stories came out of it. That's I'm sure people watching this will get a kick out of it, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I feel like, you were asking me if I meant to get on the real world. No, I didn't, but I'm glad that I did. I have no regrets. Like we're talking about the pain that you get from regret weighs tons. I said, you know what? Let's just go. Let's do this. Let's see what it's about. It's a calling for me. And I was like, let's just go do this, you know? And if I learn stuff, I learn stuff. That's what life's all about, is about learning. If I don't learn something every day, I'm not living. So I'm like, let's just go do it, man. Fuck it. Let's go. So I did it. And I was like, after the fact, I was like, wow, I learned a lot. I watched myself on the show. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I learned a lot about myself. And it honestly changed me a little bit. But then I became a mom, which changed me a whole lot more. And then I had to think about, I have someone that I have to live for. I have someone that I have to, that's going to look up to me and emanate me, like to the T. And so I have to be the best role model that I can be. And I'm not ashamed of anything I necessarily did on the show. But there were some actions that there's some interactions that I could have done better, right? There's some things I could have done better. But that's life. You know, you live and you learn, and I don't regret anything. Like, I think that if I hadn't gone and done that, if I hadn't gone out and moved out to LA, gone to these crazy Hollywood parties and meet these dark souls, so I put it, like, meet these incredibly dark souls, and to really get immersed, and just like an artist would, just like an actress would, just like any kind of person who's wanting to immerse themselves into the culture of something, to really experience it full head on, blindedly, just experience it. And you do, and you get immersed and you learn. You, like, it's in the flow state. You get into a flow state, you really just, and then you can come out of it and go, wow, I learned so much about that, instead of being halfway in, halfway out like I was. And that's how I would have potentially grown older. And to some of the people that I see today, I'm like, oh, you know, if I was on that show, and they're like 45, and they're like, oh, if I was on that show, I would have done this and this and this. I'm like, you realize you're 45, right? Like, you're not on the show. Like, chill out. Like, I didn't want to be like that. And who knows how I would have been if I would have went on in my 30s and 40s and never experienced that. If you have an itch for something, I say figure that out. You know, go do it. Experience. Why do you feel like you need to go do this so bad? Go do it. Experience it. And hell, it may have been the best decision you ever made. You could stay there and do that for the rest of your life. You know, you don't know if you want to be a fashion designer. You don't know if you want to be a firefighter. You need to just go be with those people and, like, volunteer your time. Like, go do it. be a part of it. If you want to be on reality TV, interview some people who have been on reality TV. You know, talk to those people. In fact, when they asked me twice to come back on the challenge. First time I was like, you know, and then when I found out the theme, I was like, hell no. Challenge of the X, hell no. Like, I'm not trying to break out my family. What the hell? So I mean, just like, I'm not into drama anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? And like, I feel like reality TV, not all, but like some are like very like sick drama, like sick, like they bank off of people's sickness. You know what I mean? Like they make money off of it. And so, and they promote it in a way. They're promoting sickness. So it's like, I don't want to be in a, and I remember from my show, I mean, there was people being told to do certain things to instigate fights, you know? When I know, I'd look back and be like, well, that did not happen simultaneously. That was not happening at the same time. They stitched that together. That's not even how it went down, for real. And then I would also see, oh, now it makes sense. They were telling, you know, this girl to go do this consistently to piss me off, and it wasn't working. Shame. That sucks. You know, like, it's like there's certain things that I just wasn't like either falling for or I really fall for, and it was all just a manipulative game. And to be honestly, Mike, do you want to know the truth? I made less money on that show, and money's not everything. Okay, if you really want to do something because you love to do it, the money should not matter at all, at all. But I made less money on that show than I made waiting tables. To be true, I made more money waiting for Cracker Barrel when I was 18, 16, 17. I made more money when I was 17 than I did on the show. And that should tell you something. These people care about being famous, and that's it. That's it. You know, I asked this one girl on the second time, I was like, should I do this challenge? Like, tell me. Like, I even met up with Wes. He lives here in Kansas City. I talked to, I'm going to forget her name. Shame on me. I can't remember her name, but she's on the show a lot. And I asked her, not a whole lot, I think she's on the show a lot. And she was like, I was like, tell me, what's your experience with this? Because like I said, you need to talk to people who have done it, you know, to really know what you're getting yourself into. And they were like, well, she used this she told me, I can't remember exactly how I put it, but it really sunk in deep for me. She goes, well, if you're okay with, you know, going back and forth to be a manager at a shoe store, nothing wrong with being a manager at a shoe store. I didn't understand really what she was saying, but she was talking, basically what she was saying was, you can't be taken seriously outside of the show, like in your real life. And I was like, dude, I already know how that is. And I was like, I don't want any more of that. Like when you go try to apply at a serious corporation, first thing they do is Google you. And then depending on whatever fight you got in the show or whoever you had sex with or something crazy, they're going to know right away because that's like what you were known for on the show. So it's like, good luck having any kind of real job, any kind of real anything outside of this. The people who make this a whole career and go back and back and back, and maybe they win the money eventually, and that's great, but I think they tax you like 50% on that shit. I think it's like a heavy tax. It's like a gift tax.
Yeah, the prize money they tax out. Like I remember the one story that was told on here. This is like going back a ways. This is probably like around 2008. They had a one season where it was like an individual type of thing, but there was 3 finalists, and they had made like a pact like to let the one guy win because he was from Canada, go collect the paycheck with no taxes, and then split it amongst the 3. Yeah. That's
smart. That's so smart. Wow. That's smart. I like that strategical thinking.
But I feel like that's all this show is like kind of like what it's all about. It's like who knows who and like, you know, who cuts to cut what deals and like all that stuff.
Definitely. It is definitely a place where you definitely have to lean on each other. You know, you have teammates, you know, you want to be strategic in your approach. I've seen some people kind of do people dirty, you know, because of the money. I wouldn't want to be in a circumstance where I had to, you know, someone who I thought was my friend to betray me over money or be in the other position or even to be tempted with it. It just seems so, I don't know. I do like the whole idea of a game. And that was what drew me into this in the beginning. Like, I was like, oh, because I used to watch the challenge when I was like younger. And I always thought it was cool because I was like, oh, I'm really athletic. I'd go on there and whoop somebody's ass. You know, like I had this mentality. Like, I'd go on there and just kill it, dude. And I'd be so smart. I'd know when to shut my mouth and when not to and all this other stuff. And I would say all those things, you know. And I still think that I don't have any doubts whether I'd be good or not. I think anyone's as good as they want to be at anything. It's kind of how I feel. You can be as good as you want at anything you want to do, be good at. I think that I like the idea of a challenge or like a competitive environment. And I feel like shit, real estate's challenging enough, dude. It's a challenge itself. We have 10,000 realtors in Kansas City. 10,000. Go get your business. Go get your listings. It's cutthroat, man. It's hard.
You hit it right on the head with the whole concept of the game, because that's something that, like, that's the reason why I kind of still tune in. Like I'm not really, like, so to speak, like, into, like, the whole, like, how everything works with, like, the producers and how they twist certain ways. Like, I just can't stand that shit. Like, I'm not about the fakeness about the show. I'm not about, like, the clout chasing. That's not really... But I do like the show in the sense of the competition and like, because like you could play sports for only so long. Like, I played sports pretty much my whole life. Now we got a pandemic going on, and you get that itch to like do something competitively. And then I think throwing in the whole like political aspect and the mental thing is also like really intriguing too. And then like here and there I'll see people at me on Twitter telling me like, oh, you're gonna get on this one day, you keep playing your cards right. And it's like, there's that part of me that wants to, but like I have like with what I'm doing right now, and I always say this a lot on here, is I think that kids or just people in general, young people who maybe don't know what they want to do yet, or they kind of have an idea of what they want to do, but are not sure if they should go after it. I say, like, more people should, like, be encouraged and just go after what they want in life, because what's the worst that could happen? No, or you just don't get it. You just keep trying and find something else. And I think that that's, like, the true beauty of life is, like, maybe finding something that you don't really envision yourself doing or didn't expect yourself to like take a liking to, and then seeing it kind of snowball. And that's kind of like even with this podcast too, like I want to be kind of like a commentator. That's what I want to do, truthfully.
Like, what kind of commentator?
Like a sports commentator, like analyst. That's kind of like what I'm doing. Like I go to like the school that's like the second largest school I think in New Jersey, and they're known for like their communication program. So that's kind of like what I'm doing. And I don't know if you remember him, one of the guys that was on the challenge, Kenny, like a few years ago. He actually went to the same school as me, and he was like one of like, so that's kind of like what I'm leaning towards right now.
That's cool. There's a lot of people who've made great success. Like Jamie Chung is the one that I know of the most, who's made a lot of success out of her career. I think that as long as, like, I'd say if anyone listening wants to go on the Real World or the Challenge or whatever, and any kind of reality show, just be very careful with what you say and what you do. That's all. It will be used against you for the rest of your life, because it never goes away. Because it'll show up on internet memes. It'll show up on, GIFs. It'll show up on, Google searches. Like, it'll be there forever. And again, I say I'm not ashamed of anything that I've done. But just, I know some people, I know probably certain corporations may not hire me today, but I've made a pretty deep mark in real estate here in my city, so I feel like I have to really show a lot of professionality since then. That's just what you do when you turn 30. You just turn into a professional asshole. No, I was kidding. I don't know.
A professional asshole.
I don't know. Professional asshole. Well, it's just like life, it's interesting. How old are you?
20.
If you don't mind me asking, sorry. You don't seem 20. You seem older than 20. You seem.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah, you don't seem 20. So, I just know I was a lot different when I was 21 versus 31. And why wouldn't you be? Everyone is going to be, right? I mean, everyone's going to change throughout their lives. No, but I think that that's so cool. what you said about just going after it and just doing what you want to do. Like, nothing should hold you back in this world. Nothing should. Like, and even we're all going to learn lessons and make mistakes and learn from things. I mean, you can't go the rest of your life without making a mistake, and you can't go the rest of your life without learning anything. So I say, you know, whatever it is you want to do, no matter what it is, as long as you're not harming other people, then that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think you said it before about kind of like what you do like always like sticks to you, and like it's almost like it's like a plague, like you know what I mean? Like later in life, like you could be doing like something totally unrelated, maybe haven't been on a show for like 9 years maybe, and then like something will still like come up like when you search it up, and it's just like yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you what, like, who knows when anything will, the internet, if it crashes one day or whatever, but as I've gotten older, there's a part of me that would just love to have, like, a cabin in the deep woods in, like, Colorado, like, in the mountains, okay? I go skiing, I go snowboarding, I go mountain biking, I do me, and no fucking internet. No phone, none of that shit. I'm just like, I just want to detach. Because, well, like this whole, when you said clout chasing, you know, you're not into that, and I think that I'm so glad that you said that, because a lot of people are still into that, and they're like, oh, like if they see someone do something within, people can change what they want to do in their life, you know, like. If they feel like, and I haven't had any flack for this whatsoever, but I hear people talk about other people like this when it comes to artists, like, oh, they made that song a long time ago, we've never seen them since, they, you know, whatever. And I'm like, dude, maybe they had kids and they felt like their kids were more important than the limelight, you know, or maybe they found a different career that they fell in love with, and it's like, who are you to tell other people how successful other people are? Like, if I want to make more money, have more freedom and more peace within another career, then that's like totally my prerogative, and that's totally their prerogative, and people shift in life. That's just a part of it. I think it'd be cool to have to be able to detach from all of this sometimes, because there's just so much to keep up with, and so much just. I had to actually create a whole new Instagram, okay, a whole new account, and I only followed like super positive accounts, super like really niche accounts that are into like things that I'm interested in, you know, whether it be philosophy, theology, or astrology, or astrotheology, or whatever. Like, I was like only following these accounts. Like, I didn't want to hear no bullshit, no drama, no bullshit, just straight factual, fun, informational shit on my newsfeed. And I've received a lot of solace from that. Like, I've received a lot of, like, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, when you go through your timeline, and sorry to say, I know people have issues and they want to talk about them on Facebook and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I don't know if you, and maybe you guys can comment if you agree, do you ever just go through your timeline and just feel drained afterwards? You're just like, like, you either feel like you're comparing yourself to all these other people, you feel lesser than, or you feel drained by everybody's negativity, or everybody's drama, or, you know, everyone's ads. It's like, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I like log out of my Twitter after I like post something, or just like I just like after I like kind of say if I post something like related to obviously like promotion or whatever, like I'll log out, and I will not log back in until like maybe the next morning, see like, oh, if I got notifications, and then boop, same thing. Like, that's how I roll pretty much on social media.
That's cool. Yeah, you got to take breaks. Like, social media is necessary. It's important. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with social media. We need to have them. I mean, shoot, my designation on social media, I can't be anti-social media, and I don't want to be anti-social media. But I think that there has to be a balance, and there's a balance with everything. Like, everything you do, there needs to be a balance. Homeostasis is like the #1 rule of nature. Like, we're all trying to achieve that meshing of the black and white, of that gray. And Yeah, I think if you find yourself scrolling on Instagram for 15 hours a day seeking approval from strangers, then you may have a problem. And you may want to throw that bitch in the trash and go on a vacation. Go on a float trip, go to the mountains, do something, breathe. And I'll get sucked in too, man. I'm not perfect. Like I'll get unnoticed too. And I'm like, oh, it's time for a break. You know what I mean? Time for a break.
Definitely. You said it better than I probably could. So thanks for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I kind of want to ask now, since I mean you talked about you getting called and not doing the challenge. Was that kind of the same reasoning as to why we didn't see Brian? Because Brian's someone who many people thought we would see on the show, and they thought he'd be good for it. Did he like want to go on? Because I think he raised his hand at the reunion, right? When I think they at the end they asked like, oh, who of you guys want to go to the challenge?
Yeah, I think he was really turned off when we found out the first challenge was going to be Battle of the Exes, because we all know how that would have played out, right? I mean, Brian and I were still together, so it wouldn't be him and I as exes. It would have been me and what's his name. So it's like, it's not something I want to really be involved with anymore. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know. I think like, well, they're definitely trying to separate us and definitely trying to tear us apart. Like, I mean, it's blatant as hell, like right now. And plus I had my daughter, you know, so I was just like, you know what, all this for like $1,000 and a chance to win. It's like, I'll go make a $6,000-7,000 check selling a house like right now, and how about we just don't even fuck with it? Like, how about I just and I so, I don't know. I'm like, it honestly, and I say it again, it's not about the money, because it's never about the money. If it was about the money, we would all be living in the cheapest house. We would all be going to the cheapest schools. We would all be wearing the cheapest clothes. It's not about the money. It's about the value proposition. What's there that I can get for this money? And what was there was not worth the $1,000.
Well, now I would normally agree with you, but on this next topic I'm going to bring up to you now is kind of involving one of your roommates where money kind of mattered in this situation. She now kind of goes by a little bit of a moniker.
Whatever it is, the millionaire Ashley.
Yeah, the millionaire Mitchell. Yeah. One of your roommates who we didn't really see her a whole ton because I think she left like episode 3 of Your Real World, which is crazy to think how she went from that to going on to win a couple seasons and then had like the highest money winning in the history of the show up until this past season.
That's crazy.
Yeah, what did you think about Ashley stealing the money? It was $1 million, by the way.
Okay, so I don't know this
perspective.
You'll have to elaborate a little bit about the story. All I know is that it was down to like her and somebody else, and she got to choose, right? Or like whether they kept the money or she kept the money, or what was it?
Well, they were partners, so it was like a paired up season, and they were like exes, I think. Like they were like that was like their storyline as to why they were partners, because I think the season was called Final Reckoning, so you were either paired up with someone you were an ex with or you were like in a fight with. It was either a rival or an ex. So in this case it was like her ex, I think. And then they ended up winning, and then she had the choice whether or not to split like $1 million in half between the two or keep it all for herself, and then she ended up keeping it for herself.
Well, damn. Well, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. What do I think about that? See, this is what I would not want to be put in that position. Like, I would not want to be put in that position. Like, that's terrible. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel bad for him, right? I mean, that sucks. I do believe that karma is a real thing, though. I do believe that. I don't know. Maybe he deserved it. I don't know the whole backstory, really.
Well, no. Like a lot of people think that he deserved it because, like, I think it was like when they first came in to that season, they got brought in like midway through the season. I think because they did like this little twist called like Mercenaries, where they had like an elimination set up already, but then like the host TJ would be like, oh well, you're not going against them. These people are actually who you're going against. And then she came walking in with her partner. And then I think like he made comments or whatever saying like, oh, if this like slut cost me $500,000, I'm gonna come for her family. That's what the soundbite was. That's what he said. Yeah, and that's like I think the reasoning that she used to steal the money.
Oh, wow. So now he's going to come after her family?
I mean, that was like a few years ago, but that's what he said.
Well, damn. That's a lot of that's terrible.
But that's what he said before she stole it. Like he was like, if she cost me this game, like I'm coming for her family.
Okay. Well then, yeah, I would probably take the money and use that for legal protection. That's scary, dude. That's terrible.
Are you surprised to see like what she's been able to do and kind of become like a fixture point in the show, seeing as like how it kind of played out in your season? I mean, I know you guys were cool. Like you were one of the only 2 people that voted to keep her.
Yeah, no, Ashley was my friend. Like, and she still is. I would still consider her my friend. Like, Ashley had she's a little bit of a complicated soul, if you will. Like she has complexities. But I always thought, her and I always got along really well, and I feel like she's kind of perfect for the show, like she's kind of perfect for it. So I could see that happening. Like when she left, I was like, oh shit, like this girl is like, this is what this show like needs. It's like her, like she's kind of that all out brash, just kind of do whatever it takes, competitive as hell. She's athletic. She's gorgeous. She has so many things going for her, right? Like I just wish the best for her. Like I just want anyone and everyone to be their best selves and to live their best lives, and just find happiness and peace. I just hope that she's happy along with being rich, Like I just hope that she's happy as well.
Amen.
I really hope that she's happy. I actually need to call her. I need to see how she's doing. I need to see that she's doing okay. I've met a lot of really, really wealthy people in my life, and there's nothing wrong with money by any means of the sort. Like money can bring you a lot of peace and serenity in itself. I mean, when you don't have money, it's hard as hell, right? But sometimes, like kind of what I see with like lottery winners and stuff like that, when they make money so quick, so fast, sometimes there's mental struggles that come with that. But and I knew Ashley before she was on the show, but I don't assume or insinuate anything. Like I should really call her and talk to her and see how she's doing, because I hope she's doing good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people watching would like to see that too, because you guys seem to be like kind of like the 2 fan favorites of that season. Not just saying that because you're on here, but like when I said on Twitter that you were going to be a guest, people were like so excited, and Ashley's a fan favorite, so.
Cool. Yeah. No, I do appreciate that. I think that Ashley and I had a lot of fun on that show. We had a lot of fun. She was like, her and I, like, there was times on the show that I don't even know that they showed, but there was times on the show, like, so when Ashley left, like, everybody hated me for whatever reason. Like, I was kind of outcasted in a way. It's interesting how they didn't show very much of that, but it's fine because it's probably better off. But there was times where I really wanted to leave myself. I really wanted to go home. I was like, fuck this, I need to go. Like, but I didn't. I stuck it in there, but I just, without Ashley there, it was not as fun. Like, it was really fun with Ashley. When she left, I was like, man, didn't have as much of incentive. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and Jenna's another one too that's actually gone on to, believe it or not, go on to. She made it to like 3 finals, I think it was, and she was just kind of brought on for Jay. So it's kind of crazy how that happened, right?
Yeah. Wait, she was brought on with Jay?
Like on your show, yeah. Like she was Jay's ex. Like Jay was the original cast member, and then when they did their first show, it was the ex's show, obviously. And then Jay ends up never coming back again after that, and then she goes and does 7 seasons. So, and now she's kind of like a main fixture point as well.
Yeah, I see that she's been doing really well. We're friends on Instagram, and I see her posts about, like, I'm so happy for her and her relationship. She seems to be really doing well and happy, and she seems fulfilled and whole. So I'm really excited for her, truly.
Mm, right, right. But I want to get like your thoughts on this kind of perspective that I ask like a lot of my guests, and a lot of the fans also like to hear these perspectives. I know you didn't do a challenge per se yourself, but the way now the last couple of years they've been pulling from like other maybe like honestly, to tell you the truth, as they've been kind of the criteria. They've been kind of pulling like IG models and like people with like a certain amount of Instagram followers onto their show because they kind of did away with the real world. So they've been pulling from like the UK, X on the Beach, Survivor, like even like they've been pulling from like Netflix and Instagram. So what is your thoughts on them kind of pulling from like those other shows?
Well, I think it takes away from the tradition, the whole principle beyond, besides the, people were on the show, the challenge, or the real world and road rules, and that was kind of your prerequisite to get into the challenges. I think that I mean, if it makes for good TV, I guess those people, maybe they people were kind of not wanting to go back, or maybe they were. I know that they were, like, right before our season, they were struggling with their ratings. That's why they did something different with our season, and then they kind of did that switch up after our season. And then did they stop making the real world?
So the way it happened was like after you guys, they had three more like actual seasons. What they did like similar twists to where like the one after you guys was kind of good, but then the last two like it didn't end up like going too well. So they kind of did away with it back in 2016, I want to say. But then they brought back like the real world in 2018 or 19, but it was just exclusively on Facebook Watch, which is really weird to me. And then it just, yeah, and like none of those people have made it onto the challenge or anything. It's pretty much like forgotten. So yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I do like the idea of the traditional sense of them going to the show, and then that way you kind of got to know the character, the person, and then you go to the arena, if you will, the Roman arena. Like, you made your passage, your rite of passage past you've made it through the show. I've seen some people talk on Twitter about how they feel about it. I don't think a lot of people are liking the idea of bringing in random people from other shows. I've heard a lot of people talk against that and stuff like that. So I think that I like the traditionality of it, like of how it was.
No, I agree with you, but there's like probably only one positive that can come out of this is if they're pulling random people, I might have a shot.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I mean, I think so too. Like, if you shoot, how do you even apply anymore? Or do they just select
They
people?
they probably just contact you, to be honest with you, because with
Wow.
some of the people they're pulling off of Instagram, I'm sure they like, yeah, I'm pretty sure now they even like go as far as to DM people. I'm pretty sure.
That is interesting.
Because there's no applications anymore since Real World and Road Rules are gone. So yeah, it has to be that.
Wow, that is interesting. So yeah, I think whatever you're meant to do, that'll happen. And I do believe in the law of attraction and the power of positive affirmations and stuff like that. I was utilizing that when I was at casting. I was visualizing myself. I was visualizing the set. It was kind of similar. It was kind of weird. I was visualizing kind of what it would be like waking up and going to bed, miking up and miking down and all this other stuff, and just kind of putting myself visually there. Because I do really believe in that. Your mind creates your reality, literally. Like you're sorry, I almost went off into a crazy deep end there. I almost said something really crazy. Basically, your mind creates your reality. So if you visualize yourself on the show and you visualize yourself like in the interactions you'll have, I'm sure it will happen for you. That's awesome.
But yeah, now I kind of want to ask you about your YouTube now. So, kind of a video that I found interesting on your YouTube was kind of like your paranormal activity experience, searching for ghosts. Is that something that like you kind of like believe in ghosts and stuff like that?
Yeah, big time. Like, and it's not really like I believed it until I like saw it. I saw it and then I believed it because my mom just happens to be this type of personality or carry this certain energy that really like bring ghosts out for whatever reason. Like when we go to haunted places, we get all kinds of activity. It's wild. Like she had her keys taken out of her pocket one time. We were at the Oddfellows winery, which is over here in Liberty. I mean, it was wild. Like we had to like break into her car from the trunk. It was all crazy. Like we went in the Patterson Museum, which I recorded. That's on the YouTube channel. On my in Smithville. That was the most intense. Like literally, like I've been waiting for some like eerie like horror movie moment. I walked into the room that was like the museum room where actually Mr. Patterson lived, like resided in that room. It was like his bedroom. And I walked in there and I was like trying to get some activity. Nothing was really happening. I walked back out to grab this little like EMF detector, which is electromagnetic fields. It detects those. I grabbed it and I walked back into the room. By the way, I used to be a big fan of Ghost Adventures. I was watching them all the time. So I was like, I know these terms just from watching the show. I walked in there and I saw this porcelain doll standing on top of the like big curio cabinet. The thing just went knocked over like that right when I walked in. I was like, holy shit. There was like a million things in this room. But this one porcelain doll, I walked in, I looked right up there and I was like, I started talking and all of a sudden it just went, ding. I was like, no way. I just stopped. I was recording the whole thing and like nothing was really happening, right? But actually things were happening because when I went back and reviewed the footage, because a lot of times you'll capture voices on your phone that you're not really hearing in person. Same thing with orbs. But I went back and I listened to it, and it was a full-on conversation with a spirit. Like it was like I was using one of those spirit boxes that would scan through radio channels, like just like really fast. There was a couple of them that was like I could tell was like a radio thing, and I put like a question mark on it, like is this a ghost or is this like the radio speaking? But there was some, and most of them were clear as day, no question about it. I mean, you could hear it go through several channels, and the whole word was like going through several channels. That's how you know it's not just some radio that goes doo-doo-doo. It's like all it lasts, be like, no bullshit. Like that's all you'll hear, like in that part. But it was like, I am shared vibrations. Like I asked, are you or male or female? I'm like, I am neither. I am shared vibrations. I was like, dang. Like anyone who's into this stuff this is like the biggest geeking moment ever, because I've always wondered, and anytime you ask a ghost like what age or what year it is or like how you die, they get kind of frustrated when you ask those questions. It's really weird. Like they'll get into like all that stuff. But lately I've been doing Bible study too, which like this year 2020 has gotten me a lot closer to God. And I feel like with all this, I'm learning things about the paranormal that I didn't learn about before, that I didn't understand before. So I'm kind of getting this year, it's just incredible for a lot of people I know. But this year has just brought in so much wisdom and knowledge to me, like from all sorts of the places. Like, you know, the girl that's really helping me break down and understand the Bible, to my spiritual friends that are helping me understand the universe, to, I mean, it's like very interesting stuff. Like, what is these ghost things? I've always just been fascinated. If you came across a ghost, wouldn't you for the rest of your life be like, what the hell is this? Have you seen ghosts?
Have I? No.
Okay. Well, if you ever see one, you should go on like a paranormal investigation, or maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. I won't tell you what to do. But I've always found it very interesting.
No, yeah, I've been interested in it as well. Like scary things in general just kind of like pique my my interest. I've tried like a Ouija board before, and it was like crazy because like when I was doing it, like we had the lights off, and I think like I was at my friend's house, and then his like either washing machine or dryer like made like a buzz and like went off, and there was nothing in it.
Yeah.
So that was like the one maybe experience. But I have like more of a funny story from back when I was in like high school, involving like there's no ghosts involved. Like it was like a thing at the time. There was like an app that was like would show you like where ghosts were and stuff, and like you would kind of just follow it around and stuff. And so like me and my friends kind of like had the app downloaded, and we're just kind of like, it's like kind of truth, like half truth. Like we were like, oh, let's see if this actually works, but at the same time we're thinking like, oh, this is just like probably just some money maker that like Apple's throwing at us. We're just like roaming through the halls, school, and like the middle school is connected to the high school where I went, so that way like the middle school kids were like, I guess like kind of like bystanders to like what was going on, so they would hear like us saying like, oh, like I think ghosts are this way. So that so then like our gym, the janitor was in there, right, like cleaning up. And then we were like, oh, they're saying that there's ghosts in here. And then like we just kind of left. Well, we didn't know like there was anything in there. So then I think they saw like the shadow of the janitor like walking in the gym, and then the like a basketball bouncing. So then they start screaming and running down the hallways, and then teachers come running out like, what's going on? And they thought they thought there was a ghost in the gym.
Wow, yeah. I mean, there's definitely something going on to that. There's definitely some weird shit. Like, we investigated the Savoy Hotel down at downtown Kansas City. It's actually one of the oldest hotels in the United States, or maybe to the west of the St. Louis Arch or something like that. And we said there was a lady named Betsy who had died on the third floor there in the bathtub. And we were like, hey, Betsy, is this, did you die here, or is that just a rumor? And then as soon as we said that, there was this orb that like manifested in frame. Like you kind of decipher whether it's a bug or a piece of dust or an actual orb by its behavior characteristics and how it comes and goes. Well, we see this orb literally manifest in frame. It didn't enter in frame. It manifested in frame, and then it like literally went like this, and then it just like left. It was really bizarre. And when we were leaving, this is also a video I have on my YouTube channel too. The haunted Savoy. It's called like Real Ghost Captured Savoy, Kansas City, something like that. And when we were leaving, I kid you not, guys. I can't make this up. I can't put this in here. This is real shit. I was leaving, and there was like this 1920s like lobby. The building was built like in the early 1910s or 20s, and there was this like 1920s music playing. All of a sudden, as we were trying to get out the door, you hear this blood-curdling scream. You guys probably think I'm nuts as hell, but I'm not kidding you. I did not add that in there. I know, or whatever I need to do to like promise you I didn't add it, anything. That scream, I mean, anyone who's into that, you should watch that video. It will blow your mind because I didn't add it in there. And what is this blood-curdling scream happening and doing as we're trying to leave this building in the middle of the night? Like, what is this? And we heard it ourselves. We're like, what was that? And she was like, that was a scream. We got to get out of here. And I was like, she said it in this really calm way. I'm like, did you hear that? Like, what was that? Like, that was crazy. So the stories that I have are just kind of unbelievable. A little bit unbelievable.
Wow.
But I didn't edit it. It's there. It's messed up. Messed up. I promise I'll never touch or edit a ghost video in my life. I'll put that on everything because I want to make more as I get older, and I already have some, so I just want to put that out there because I know some people are very skeptical. They'll be like, oh, there's no way. But like, dude, whatever I got to do to prove that was not a lie. Like, that really happened. What the fuck? That's great.
I'll link that in the description when this is up, to the video.
Yeah, you guys check that out. It's messed up. Scared.
But now something I kind of want to talk about, which is like a big thing for me as well. I noticed and I really enjoyed your mental health video. Could you maybe shed some light or talk to the audience now about like maybe how you cope with like your like mental health and some tactics to kind of like de-stress and stuff like that?
Well, so like I was prescribed some pharmaceutical medications, like, and when as a young child, Ritalin when I was younger, as I was diagnosed with ADHD as a young child, and then I had gone on and off of it in grade school, and then when I got into high school, college, I started taking Adderall. I took it for 10 years. I never took it more than I was prescribed. I never abused it. I actually would always take less than I was prescribed because I always came back to the doctor with like, I always had like enough. I always had like another prescription I had to refill by the time I went to the doctor. Like I was never out. So just to clear the air on that. But one pill led to another pill, led to another pill. I think you guys understand that medical terrorism is what people are referring to it as. Is like you get prescribed one pill for one ailment, and it leads to side effects, which leads to another. It caused a lot of great anxiety for me. So then I was prescribed Xanax. And then from there, they want to put me on some, because of all the ups and downs, you know, like one's an upper, one's a downer, like take a pill to go up, take a pill to go down. And now your equilibrium's all fucked, and you're like, you can't even like really have any balance or sense of, you know, cohesion there. So then they're like, oh, you need this bipolar or this like antidepressant shit. And I'm like, dude, how many pills do you want to get me on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is not right. Like, it's not the healthy way of living. So it kind of divulged me into this whole research about the pharmaceutical industry. And there's some great documentaries on even Netflix of all places. And a lot of places you'll see online, like a lot of great. Now that I'm talking about it, I can't think of the prescription, the ones, but there's some great ones out there. If you just type up like pharmaceutical documentary, you'll find some, and you'll learn about the ins and outs of the industry. It's designed to keep you sick. It's not designed to make you better. Anything that you're going to be taking for the rest of your life, doctors are not actually, first and foremost, medical doctors only are given very, very, very little nutritional and prevention teachings. Like I got this book called The Ultimate Guide to Intermittent Fasting that I want to kind of get into. I haven't finished reading the book yet. But in one of the first chapters, Dr. Jason Fung, he says that in his he's a medical doctor, he had only 6 hours of lecture on nutrition. 6 hours. That's it. But they teach you, it's medical doctors, medicine. They teach you about medicine. They don't teach you about holistic health and all this other stuff. So I had to kind of change my whole understanding of health like upside down. Instead of like listening to your medical doctor, listening to your body. Listening to being connected with your higher self is a big deal. Whoever that is, whatever religion you are, that's great. You know what I mean? Awesome. Finding a power that's more higher and greater than yourself that you can connect to is going to give you access to unlimited amounts of wisdom and health and intuition. Intuition, you know, you're going inwards to connect with your higher power. So, and that's a big part of mental health. And that's a big piece that's missing from your medical doctor. If you go to your medical doctor and you're like, you know what, doc, I got this and this and this going on. How often do they go, okay, how often are you meditating? What is your diet like? You know, what are you doing? How often do you spend on this phone? How often do you scroll through your feed? How often do you know, like they don't ask you any lifestyle questions, right? And so, I think that it's important to kind of assess and maybe even have a journal of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and kind of get an understanding of what your routines are like and your habits and then what that can equate to. Like, I just think that, like, I started, and I'm not a medical doctor, so I can't tell you what to do, but I weaned myself off of the medication. And what that involved was I just poured a little bit out of those capsules. Like, and I actually had a Sharpie marker, and I would like, okay, here's where I'm at this next 2 weeks, and then I would drop it down to like a little bit more, like 2 weeks. It took me like a year to get off of it, and then I haven't taken it. I've been off of it for a year, and basically, it's amazing how long it's taken me to acclimate back to a normal, like, energy level and understanding. It's really jacked up. But if any of you guys are listening to this, talk to your doctor about maybe how to get off of it or other types of things. 'Cause I think that shit is so bad for you. I think that any of those psychological drugs that you're taking every day, I think that shit is so bad for you. And I think that there's a lot of free ways that you can help take care of yourself. But the free is not in benefit of the business owners. The pharmaceutical industry, they're in it to make money. They don't care about your health. They want you to be a lifetime subscriber, forever. They want you to be on these pills and more pills and more pills. Of course, right? So it's time that we and it's time that we literally, you could start with meditating with your bare feet on the ground. It's called grounding. You put your soul to the ground. Our bodies are like a battery, okay? You have a positive and negative, okay? And you have a neutral. You have a ground. It's like your house. You have a positive and negative wire, and you have a ground wire that goes where? To the ground, okay? It grounds you. You talk about grounding yourself. You can go, and it's just a simple practice. You don't need any kind of deep understanding or ooh la la type of shit. I mean, just literally put your damn bare feet on the ground for 10 minutes every day. Just do that. And just try to not think about anything. And it's going to be impossible because our brains are naturally made to think. Like, that's what they do, right? It's going to be almost impossible. Not impossible, because there's people who practice this for years and they eventually get really good. And it takes a lot of practice. But meditating completely changed my life. Like, if you meditate the first 10 minutes, I'm a lot more cognitive. I have access to more of my vocabulary. I have just more brain power overall, and I can think more clearly, right? So when you do the practice of allowing your bare feet, and the reason you don't want the rubber in between your feet and the ground, right? Because what does rubber do? What do electricians wear when they're working on energy and electricity? They use rubber, right? Flow of energy, right? That's what rubber does. But your bare feet are meant to connect to the ground because you want to release. That's what the ground wire for your house is for. When things get overloaded, it goes to the ground. It gets to the ground and goes out. That's what the earth is for. The earth, heart. It's the center point. So you want to go and you want to release those negative energies. And you don't have to have any kind of deep understanding of it. Just literally do this for 10 minutes every day. Do it for 2 weeks, a week, and then see how you feel.
Wow. That is very well put, the way you just laid everything out. Yeah, I find myself in a little bit of a rut all the time, because even if something's not wrong, I tend to get on myself often. And even if, like, there's no problem, I put a lot of, like, maybe by nature, put a lot of pressure on myself. And I don't know if maybe social media, Twitter, whatever, like, enhances that. And like you said earlier, it was a great point about you want to live like that fun life, but then once you get into that fun life, you start to really see, like, maybe this isn't what I really wanted to be a part of. And I think, like, at least a little bit in my case, obviously very different situations, you obviously being on TV, just like me putting myself even in the public, more public eye that I am now, like, I feel like I'm raising my standards and, like, trying to kind of reach. And I feel like if I don't get to where I feel like I should be or I want to be, like, I get down on myself a lot, and I feel like I cause, like, more stress and anxiety to myself than maybe is being led on. I don't even know how to really put it. It's just, like, kind of hard to describe, really, but I oftentimes try to find ways to kind of decompress and maybe take my mind off certain things, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good that you take that time, because I do think that social media does put these different kinds of, we're just not really meant to constantly compare ourselves. And that's what our brains do, right? I mean, what's really fascinating about Ralph Waldo Emerson and his whole transcendentalism movement back in the day, which is something that really inspired me when I was, like, 16, when we had to do, like, this thing in English class, and I read about his book, and it really stuck with me forever, which was, you can go out into the woods, be by yourself, and you have no one to compare yourself to. You're not rich, you're not poor, you're not ugly, you're not pretty, you are just you, and you have no one to compare yourself to. And at that moment, you can be happy, but we do need other people. We live in a society, like, we're not, like, all, like, doing our own thing over here. So again, it has to be that balance, right? That balancing. And what's so great about grounding is you're putting both feet on the ground. You have all three things going at once. You have positive, negative, and neutral. You're going to release some of that extra pent-up energy that you have, and some of that clout and confusion, because you do need your social media, right? and you do want to put yourself out there, you do need all of these things. You can't just be like, oh, I'm nomadic. I'm just going to be like, screw all this, bye. Like, better learn how to fish and hunt. You know what I mean? Like, all these things. So it's like we want to live in this sophisticated life where we have all these other people. It just takes a tremendous amount of a balancing act for us. And I think that to your point where you're talking about being compared or like putting yourself on these high standards, I really think that everyone is where they're at, where they need to be at this moment in time. Like everyone is really where they're at, where they need to be at this time. And of course, couldn't we all be better? Like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's what we're all trying to do here. We're all just trying to get better and be happier. Or some people just want to be happy. They don't even want to be better. They just want to be happy. And now we go into the whole philosophy of what is life and all this other things. And that could be like a whole 2-hour thing. So we won't go into that. But basically, yeah, I mean, everyone is where they need to be in their life. And sometimes prayer and meditation, which is they're honestly the same thing, like in my opinion. Like when you meditate, you're also praying. You're also just saying, you know what? You're surrendering is what you're doing. You're saying, God, just tell me what, just guide me. You know, let me be with you and you be with me, and let's just do this together. And so you're just like, you just kind of surrender. Thoughts will come, and then you just kind of push them out, and you're like, yeah, that's great, but I'm not gonna place an opinion on that thought. I'm not gonna place a judgment. I'm just gonna say, okay, the thought is what it is, and then it'll just go. Okay, and maybe have a notepad there, and that way maybe you can write some stuff down, because that is like, really, you don't want your brain to be nothing. You want your brain to be doing something. It's there for a reason, right? Like, so the thoughts that come to you during those moments are sometimes really profound.
Mm-hmm.
When you have less noise.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today. I had a fun chat talking about, like, it seems like we covered a lot of topics. So, yeah, I had a ton of fun doing this, and I hope you did as well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'll link this to you when it's up and all that. And if you have anything you want me to throw in the description as well, please let me know. I'll put your haunted video in the description, and anything else, just let me know. But yeah, I'll let you know when this is up, and thanks again.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.